This week in the Psychology of Education, we're tackling beliefs about ability. We're going to spend some time thinking about beliefs about our own ability. This is referred to as self-efficacy. I believe that is our beliefs and our confidence that we are going to be successful at doing something in the future. We're also going to be talking about beliefs that we held about others' abilities. As you can imagine, both of these are important in our daily life, and particularly so for those of us who want to be teachers, thinking about our own beliefs, our own confidence, and our successes, as well as the beliefs of the students, beliefs about the students in our classes. To kick us off and get us started, I want to say that as adults, we've been building all of this knowledge, all of this information about how good we are at different things, how bad we are at other things. We're sort of been accumulating, and we're going to talk about these different sources of our self-efficacy. And so to kind of get us thinking about that, I want to use an example, and I may be wrong here, but I'm going to guess that is not one that many of us in this class have had the experience of, and that is playing the tuba. I want you to think about if I were in person, I was able to hand this to you and say, how confident are you in your ability to play a song on the tuba right now? Or how confident are you in your ability to learn to play a song on the tuba by the end of the week or the end of the semester? And this is something that researchers might ask. Now, they don't normally ask about tuba. They're normally asking about math or sports or language arts or science and things like that. But I want to use this example here with the hopes that it's not something that you may have had the experience before. Because as kids, we often are thinking about our abilities to do things that we haven't done before. Kids don't have as much experience, much knowledge about their ability to do different things. And so I want to kind of take us back to that experience. So if you think to yourself, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being I'm not at all confident, to 10 being I feel extremely confident. How confident are you in your ability to learn to play a song in the tuba by the end of the week? Write down your number. 1 means I'm not at all confident, I can't do this. I don't think I could play a song on the tuba by the end of the week. 10 means I feel extremely confident. Now, if you can take a moment, go ahead, pause the video and write down your number, 1 to 10, and then write down why. When you picked that number, what were you thinking of? What information was coming to your mind? Okay, so I hope you had a moment to write down the things that you think influenced your judgment of self-efficacy, this 1 to 10 score. How confident are you in your ability to learn to play, in this case, the tuba? We may also think about your confidence in your ability to learn math, to be able to write a successful essay, to do well in this class, to read the material for this week. All of these things are activities about which we have self-efficacy, and we've been building this repertoire of information about what influences it. So when you look at your list, I want you to compare it to these examples, these 4 sources, these 4 things that researchers have been found to influence self-efficacy over and over again in research studies. When they study, this is studies of all different fields, not music specifically. One of the big predictors of your self-efficacy is your previous performance. Have you been successful or not on a similar task? Even though you may not have played the tuba, you may have had experience playing another instrument or doing well in music class or not doing well in music class. And those prior performance experiences influence your self-efficacy beliefs. You may also not have had the experience yourself, but you may have seen someone else. These are referred to as vicarious experiences. Have you seen other people who look similar to you succeeding at the activity? Now, if you're a child and you've only seen adults do well on something, that may not be a very meaningful vicarious experience. As a woman who played the tuba, not seeing other females as role models may have had an influence on my self-efficacy. Do other people who look like you, who you see as your role models, have they done the thing that you are trying to do? This is the sort of like, can I live vicariously through them? And that seeing them do it, seeing your roommate do it, seeing your friends do it, may help to build your own self-efficacy. Number 3, encouragement from others. And this can come from teachers or coaches, people who tell you whether or not you are good or bad at something. This can come in the form of feedback, for instance. This can come in the form of grades. You may get encouragement from others through awards or other sorts of evidence. And finally, there's this physiological reaction that we might observe in ourselves. So if every time I go to play the tuba, I feel really anxious and really nervous, that's not going to give me a lot of confidence in my ability to do this in the future. But if my body responds in a way that feels really calm, if I go on stage to perform and I feel fine, I may have more confidence. This may help me build confidence in the future. And so if we think about, for instance, mathematics, that makes a lot of people feel anxious. If I feel anxious in math class, I may start to associate math with this sort of physiological, this body response of anxiety, and that may over time cause me to reduce my self-efficacy. Now, let's talk about why self-efficacy is important. So self-efficacy influences a lot of different outcomes. These are just a few of them. One is performance, things like grades or achievement. If you have more self-efficacy, you're likely to put in more effort. You're likely to work harder, to persist at what you do. So are you willing to keep going even if the going gets tough, even if things are challenging? Those with greater self-efficacy tend to do better. And then finally, choice. We have a lot of choice, things like what classes we take, what do we major in, what do we want to do as our job, do we apply for something that we have a small chance of getting, but maybe we feel confident in our ability and so therefore we do. All of these things are outcomes of self-efficacy, reasons why we think it's important to boost self-efficacy in students. And I think it's also important to note that these all of these are true for even if we take control for students' current abilities. So if you have 2 students who both are, let's say, in the 90th percentile on a math test, so they both are really strong math students, they're doing well. One has really high self-efficacy and the other has lower self-efficacy. Even if they're equal in their abilities, the student who has higher self-efficacy is more likely to do better in the future, to put in more effort, to persist when things get going tough, and to choose to do that. That major, or that discipline, that extra coursework in the future. Now, you may be thinking to yourself too, that there could be such a thing as too much self-efficacy. So we don't necessarily want to overinflate students' abilities to do things that they can't. This can be a problem. So I'm going to throw this term out here, the term calibration. So we have our beliefs about our ability and we have our actual ability. And the goal would be for those to be fairly well matched. More accurately calibrating, so having a self-efficacy belief that's closer to your ability can lead you to more efficient studying, better learning. So if you think, I know this material really well, so I don't need to study it, I feel confident in that, but I don't feel confident in this, the better you are at making those judgments about your ability, the more efficient you can be in your learning, the more effective you can be in your learning. If you're overly optimistic, you could stop studying before you should. You may stop practicing for your recital before you should. You have too much confidence. If you're underconfident, you may be disengaged, not putting forth the effort, the persistence to succeed, or that lack of confidence can lead to anxiety. So even if you have put in the time to practice, to work on math, to work on reading, to work on writing, if you don't feel confident in your ability, that may lead to anxiety, which is going to lead to lower confidence. We've got ourselves stuck in a spiral. And finally, to talk about a few developmental changes in self-efficacy, when kids enter school, we're thinking kindergarten is around age 5, working hard and doing well are essentially the same thing. Over time, kids start to develop this belief that working hard is what leads to better performance. Well, sometimes working hard doesn't lead to better performance, and so we develop these ideas that in some cases, working hard can help me do better, and in other cases, my ability, my sort of innate talent can lead me to do better. And this can be explanations for why people do well as why they don't do well. And then finally, over time, we can start to develop these mindset changes. This is what Carol Dweck talks about as fixed versus growth mindsets. Thinking that ability leads to performance is development of a fixed mindset, and belief that effort can lead to growth, lead to improved performance is a growth mindset. And these are sort of, this is the last one's this point at which people start to develop general habits or beliefs, and these vary by discipline. So you may have a fixed mindset about math learning, but you may have a growth mindset about your ability to learn psychology or your ability to learn to be a teacher. And then finally, self-efficacy follows general trends as we age. So here we have students, this was a study of over 700 students followed from grades 1 through the end of high school. On the one side, we have math, their competence about math, their self-efficacy about math. And the other graph is their language arts competence. And the major thing to notice in both of these is that there are decreases in students' beliefs about their ability to do all subjects over time. We started with really high confidence. So maybe if you asked your 5-year-old self, can you play the tuba? You would have been like, yes, of course I can play the tuba. Why not? But as we start to build this information, as we gain knowledge about ourselves, we observe others in the world, we see these really common trends in decreases in self-efficacy over time. And as you noted a few slides back, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because we want to develop a more accurate view of how well we're doing so that can guide our future plans, our future goals, our future objectives. So as we go forward this week, think about all of the times this week where you are studying, where you are in class thinking about, like, am I going to participate right now? Do I feel confident in my ability to contribute something meaningful to the discussion? Or am I kind of hanging back? Do I feel confident when I'm posting on Slack or responding to somebody else? What has led me to those beliefs in the past? What is leading me to believe these things about myself in the future? And I'll look forward to a good discussion this week.